Hello students, Professor Piggy here. Today we are marching straight into one of the wolf's favorite hunting grounds, the email inbox, and we are going to understand exactly how he uses it to stalk entire organizations. Email has been a primary attack vector for years because it works, and it works because people underestimate it. A single careless click can move the wolf from the outside world into the internal network faster than a piglet spotting a bucket of apples. Let us begin with spam. Spam is unwanted or unsolicited email. Some spam is merely advertising, but much of it contains malicious links, malicious attachments, or embedded scripts designed to compromise a system. Even when it is not malicious, high volumes of spam reduce productivity and increase the likelihood that a user will eventually click something dangerous out of habit or fatigue. Legitimate companies sometimes send marketing emails to users who opt in to a mailing list. Opting in means the user has agreed to receive communications under specified terms. However, those terms may include permission to share the email address with partners, increasing the volume of incoming mail. Legitimate organizations are required by law in many regions to provide a clear opt-out mechanism so users can stop receiving future messages. Criminals, unlike legitimate marketers, ignore those legal obligations. They harvest email addresses from compromised systems, scrape them from websites, or purchase them from other criminals. Some malware scans infected computers and extracts contact lists to expand distribution. When criminals include an unsubscribe link, it often serves as a validation mechanism confirming the address is active, which results in even more spam. Now let us trot over to spam over instant messaging, commonly called SPIM. SPIM is unsolicited messages sent through instant messaging platforms rather than traditional email. These messages may arrive through SMS, messaging applications, or social media chat systems. Because these channels often bypass traditional email spam filters and antivirus gateways, they present a unique security challenge. Modern messaging platforms support links and attachments, which can deliver malware or redirect victims to credential harvesting sites. During periods of crisis, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, attackers sent messages claiming exposure notifications or government stimulus information. These messages contained malicious links or attempted to collect personal data, such as social security numbers and bank account information. The wolf loves urgency and fear because they override caution. Now we define phishing with exam precision. Phishing is the practice of sending fraudulent communications, typically email, that appear to come from a reputable source, with the goal of obtaining sensitive information or delivering malicious code. The message often directs the victim to a spoofed website that mimics a legitimate one. The attacker attempts to trick the user into entering credentials, financial information, or other confidential data. A common phishing scenario involves an email that appears to come from a financial institution or online service. The message may claim suspicious activity and instruct the recipient to click a link to verify credentials. Legitimate organizations do not request credential validation through unsolicited email links. If a user clicks such a link and enters credentials, the wolf gains authorized access without ever breaking down the digital door. It is important to distinguish spam from phishing. Spam is unsolicited email. Phishing is a malicious attempt to obtain sensitive information or install malware through deceptive communication. All phishing is spam, but not all spam is phishing. For the exam, remember that phishing specifically involves deception to elicit sensitive data or user action. Attackers also impersonate friends, colleagues, or executives. The display name in the from field can be forged easily, while the underlying email address may reveal a different domain entirely. Email headers can be analyzed to determine the true sending source, but most users never examine them. The wolf depends on familiarity and trust to lower defenses. Some phishing campaigns are designed specifically to install malware. A message may claim that software is outdated and prompt the user to download an update. The downloaded file appears legitimate but contains malicious code. In other cases, an attachment masquerades as an image or document but executes a payload once opened, establishing persistence or creating a backdoor. Another tactic involves validating email addresses using tracking beacons. A beacon is a small, often invisible image embedded in an email that loads from a remote server. When the email client retrieves the image, it confirms to the attacker that the address is valid and actively monitored. This is why many email clients block external images by default. Some phishing schemes are financially motivated scams, such as advance fee fraud. The victim is promised a large sum of money in exchange for a smaller upfront payment or access to banking information. The promised funds never arrive, and the attacker either disappears or continues requesting additional payments. The wolf preys on greed just as eagerly as fear. Now we turn to spear phishing. Spear phishing is a targeted phishing attack directed at a specific individual or group. Unlike broad phishing campaigns, spear phishing messages are customized using information gathered about the target. This personalization increases credibility and significantly improves success rates. A common spear phishing scenario involves impersonating a company executive. This is called business email compromise, BEC. The attacker forges the display name and requests sensitive information such as passwords or financial data. Digital signatures provide cryptographic assurance of the sender's identity and can mitigate this risk when properly implemented. Digital signatures use asymmetric cryptography to verify integrity, authenticity, and non-repudiation. Whaling is a specialized form of spear phishing that targets high-level executives or attempts to impersonate them. Executives are attractive targets because they have access to sensitive strategic and financial data. In some documented cases, attackers successfully obtained employee tax records and payroll information by impersonating a chief executive officer. The financial and reputational damage can be severe. Now let us define vishing. Vishing is a form of phishing that uses voice communication, typically over the telephone or voice-over IP technology, to obtain sensitive information. Attackers may spoof caller ID information to appear legitimate. Automated systems or live operators prompt victims to provide personal data, such as account numbers, authentication codes, or social security numbers. Smishing is phishing conducted through SMS or text messaging. The attacker sends a fraudulent text message that attempts to trick the victim into clicking a link or providing information. In some attacks, the message exploits two-factor authentication by requesting a verification code that the attacker triggered during a password reset attempt. If the victim shares the code, the attacker can complete account takeover. Students, the wolf thrives on distraction, urgency, fear, greed, and authority. Every one of these email-based attacks manipulates human behavior more than technology. Firewalls and filters help, but user awareness is the strongest defense in the herd. For your exam, remember the precise definitions. Spam is unsolicited email. Phishing is deceptive communication intended to obtain sensitive information or deliver malware. Spear phishing is targeted phishing. Whaling targets executives. Vishing uses voice systems. Smishing uses text messaging. When you recognize these patterns, you deny the wolf his easy meal. Stay alert, verify before you trust, and report suspicious messages immediately, and never click links in urgent emails. The network depends on every single user making secure decisions. If this helped you sharpen your cybersecurity tusks, like and subscribe. Oink.